You know, one of the traps that I will sometimes fall into, and I know that many of my friends do as well, and people I follow on Twitter, is this idea that, okay, this is over the line. No one is actually going to find a way to defend this. And every single time we are disappointed, or is it surprised or let down, or whatever the case may be. And this applies to the insurrectionist mob of rioters that Donald Trump incited yesterday, who went to the U.S. Capitol, breached security, breached the doors, broke windows, got into Nancy Pelosi's office and vandalized, and so on and so forth. And I sort of jokingly, what's a joke these days? I sort of tongue in cheek suggested, I'm sure they'll figure out a way to blame Antifa and Black Lives Matter for this. And that's exactly what many people did. Here is a clip from, so this is happening at the high level and it's happening at the low level. For a clip at the high level, when last night the vote resumed in the joint session, most networks were covering it. But on Fox News, Laura Ingraham was saying that she heard that from the Washington Times, there were at least 2 Antifa spotted in the crowd. I'm not kidding. Take a look.
Actions we saw today do not represent this movement. The Washington Times is reporting that at least 2 Antifa were spotted in the crowd.
So listen, first of all, even if it were true that there were 2 Antifa spotted, there were thousands of violent Trump insurrectionists pushing their way onto the Capitol portico and some of them into the building, et cetera, et cetera. So even if it were true that 2 Antifa were spotted, it wouldn't really tell us much about the reality of what took place yesterday. It was a incited by Trump, pro-Trump, Trumpist, riotous, seditious insurrection, period. But what does it mean 2 Antifa were spotted? Did they have signs? Because if they were just dressed in black, a lot of the riotous pro-Trump seditionists were also dressed in black. And they specifically, many of them planned to dress in black. So if this is true, it's irrelevant. Whether it's true is a real question. And then, of course, the idea that this is anything other than a genuine pro-Trump movement is not supported by fact. Now, unfortunately, so Ingram is an example of this happening at the high level. Oh, it's 2 Antifa were spotted. Absolute trash. OK, but friends of mine who have conservative family members, as an example, I had an inbox full of screenshots and posts yesterday of my friend's aunt, my friend's cousin, whoever else, posting all sorts of content claiming that this entire thing was staged by the left. There really weren't any Trumpists, that the Trumpists that were there and peacefully walked to the Capitol weren't the same ones that breached. And of course, you have to suspend all disbelief in order to even plausibly consider that this is the case. But unfortunately, once again, when we assume wrongly, this is over the line, nobody will defend this. Even for them, this is too much. We're wrong every single time. And they figured out a way through a combination of arguing that a few bad apples, maybe not even right wingers, the bad apples might all have been Antifa or Black Lives Matter, for which there is no evidence. Another version that I saw, and in fact, there are some enlightened centrists who have YouTube channels who were making this case. The problem is the media with bloodlust showing the video of what's going on. I actually heard that yesterday and saw it on Twitter today, which is the problem is not the first order, which is that people are doing this and they are Trumpists. And even though we were told it's the left that's violent, it's the right that has done something that hasn't happened since the 19th century, breaching the Capitol building with property crime and vandalism and violence and all this stuff. That's really the issue. There were people saying the media's coverage of this is sensational and salacious. What? That's what you think is the problem? The fact that media were accurately reporting about the seditious, insurrectionist, riotous behavior that was taking place. So we've seen every combination. There is no defense too absurd. There is no defense too ridiculous that some of them won't try it. You know, there's all these rules, Godwin's law, which I think is the longer an internet discussion goes on, the more likely it becomes someone makes an analogy to Hitler or Nazis. Or, you know, all of the Occam's razor. There should be some principle named for the idea that any defense of Trump or Trumpists, no matter how absurd, will eventually be made and put out there by some of these Trumpists. And all we can really do is continue to stick to the facts, not become over. You know, one of the things was a lot of people were writing to me saying, how do I respond to this? You know, my aunt is posting that what's going on is not really what's going on. What do I do? And my advice is do nothing. Unfortunately, I think that if you want to adopt what I call a retail strategy, which is arguing with people one-on-one, I don't really have advice for you. I really don't. I don't think it's a good idea. If somebody really sees what happened yesterday and actually believes or has convinced themselves that they believe it was really Antifa or something like that, I don't see the point of arguing with them. I think the healthier approach is to say, this person believes this stuff as a result of like a 40-year campaign of pseudo and anti-intellectualism and false talking points that really go back to like Reagan's idea of this welfare queen who was just getting rich off of having kids and drove a Cadillac and lived this great life. That is sort of the beginning of everything we've seen. Immigrants are dangerous and communists are coming in and Joe Biden's a social, you know, all that stuff. We need to be thinking about more of a wholesale strategy, which includes changing the media landscape, changing the culture, changing education. And my instinct is that's healthier than getting frustrated with Aunt Blanche sharing that crazy thing about how it was really Antifa who did the thing. To me, it seems like an exercise in futility, but I'm open to having my mind changed. That's just my advice. One of our sponsors today is Lucy, and they are giving my audience 20% off. Lucy is a company founded by Caltech scientists with only one mission, which is to help people quit smoking and vaping by offering a clean, affordable nicotine alternative. Now, many of you know, you've heard the stories. I've known several people in my life who have struggled with quitting smoking. I've seen how difficult it can be. And nicotine alternatives can be hugely helpful. Lucy offers a nicotine gum in 3 flavors, wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. They also have lozenges, which come in cherry ice flavor. Lucy is affordable. It'll ship right to your door. You don't have to go out to the store. Shipping is always free. You can buy single boxes or save with a subscription. It's the year 2020. It's time to throw the cigarettes away and get rid of the vape. And Lucy can make it easier. You'll find a ton of excellent reviews online from countless people who have used Lucy to quit smoking and vaping. Go check them out at lucy.co. I've put the link right underneath this video, and you'll get 20% off when you use the coupon code Pakman. And just a quick disclaimer, I'm required to give. These products contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.